This morning, Green Bay Packers reached agreement on a one-year deal with former Cowboys linebacker Jaylon Smith, who is reunited with the Packers head coach Matt LaFleur, who he worked with in Notre Dame. Matt LaFleur was on the Notre Dame coaching staff when Jaylon Smith played there. Two have a very strong relationship, and Jaylon Smith was talking to three different teams into the night last night. Made the decision to go to Green Bay on a one-year deal. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys will be paying him the bulk of his money for this season, but the Packers add a linebacker at a position of need, and now they get some team speed. They've had some injuries on the defense this year, and they hope that the arrival of Jaylon Smith will help elevate the Packers defense.
All right, absolutely could be a big move in Green Bay. Guys, this could be big. This could be big. So I want to get all of your reaction. D-Wood, what do you think about this?
Well, listen, I mean, for me, I think he does add a level of speed. He's not as fast as he used to, but you look at the Green Bay Packers on defense, they lack playmakers, particularly in the inside and in the interior of that defense. So adding a guy like Jaylon Smith would give them another playmaker on the interior of that defense.
Yeah, if he could even be close to what he used to be, this could be big for the Packers.
I mean, the guy was playing well. I don't know what the issue was in Dallas and why they get rid of him, especially understanding what the history of Van Der Esch's neck is. I know they're probably comfortable with Keanu Neal, but, you know, from the Green Bay Packers standpoint, this gives them a guy that plays with his hair on fire, plays with a lot of speed, a lot of emotion. You need that at your middle linebacker, point, especially when teams think you're soft, especially don't know what his health issues is going forward. They needed a playmaker in the worst way.
Yeah, Dallas has been great, much better on defense this year. But Lewis, I mean, maybe they thought they could move on from him, and now Dallas's loss in some ways is Green Bay's gain.
Yeah, there's no question that Dallas thought they could move on with him, and when they were looking at the cap situation and what his cost was relative to his performance, especially coming up in 2022. They just didn't feel like it made sense for them, considering that Keanu Neal is someone who they really like, and Jabril Cox is going to start getting play time. So they liked where they were at in that situation. But one man's trash, another man's treasure. Green Bay needs speed at linebacker, in particular, someone to pair with somebody like Devondre Campbell. They need another corner as well. We don't know how long Jair Alexander is going to be playing. That's why we thought that would be a natural landing spot for Stephon Gilmore. So they needed inside backer speed and playmaking ability. They need another corner. They needed to continue to build out this defense to match what is obviously a lot of firepower on offense.
Adam, I'll go to you for the final word, because this could be a big move for Green Bay.
Well, here's a linebacker, a player that's overcome a lot of adversity during the course of his football career. And I think when you get released, cut mid-season, that puts a little chip on your shoulder. And I think Jaylon Smith goes to Green Bay once again, trying to prove people wrong, trying to prove a point. He goes in there motivated. And the Packers get a player with the right type of mindset right now who reunites with Matt LaFleur and gives them a chance to get even better on defense.
I couldn't agree more. It's like he might be feeling, I've been written off. Now I'm going to come in here and show the league exactly who I am.
And potentially a collision course. Listen, I remember going to get some coaches that thought I couldn't play. I remember Mike Nolan. Every time I hit Frank Gore, I went right to him to the point where he started turning his back and wouldn't even listen to me. I said, "You hear me, mother? You know what I'm talking about." You know what I'm saying? And that's what you're going to get, because eventually if they play in the playoffs, it's going to get real. Yeah, I named names over here, but Louis, he told me I couldn't play, man. And guess what? He unemployed and I'm working.
Bart, I know you hear me, Bart. That's what you told him, huh? I know you hear me.
Oh, yeah, you hear me. You turn your back all you want. Man's trying to come blow in your ear like Lance Stevens. You hear me. Don't make me come over there.
The Lance Stevenson reference is something I did not expect coming into today. Let's talk Cleveland, fellas, shall we? Baker Mayfield.
It was just a question of how early in the season. And coming off a win and a performance like that on Sunday, Matt Nagy felt that this was the time to do that. Chicago rejoices. The Bears have a new starting quarterback. This is the quarterback that the Bears fans wanted to see. And Matt Nagy decided to hand off the future to the young quarterback and start the chain of events right now.
All right, I got a smirk fest going on here between D. Wood and Bart Scott. Bart, go ahead.
Come on, man. We all been there before. This ain't coming from Matt Nagy. This is coming from up top, man. They say, man, what the hell wrong with you? You embarrassing us every day on these damn press conferences. You sound like a fool, man. Go out there and put the kid in. The kid threw 17 times. Like, what are we talking about, man? Like, listen, that's what they tell everybody else. The football insiders know what it is. Like, he got the marching orders. Like, man, you looking foolish. It's time to start the kid. The future starts now. I said when the season started, when you looked at the schedule, homecoming traditionally is the Lions, week 4. That's when you put them in, you make the move. And and it's time to say, okay, this is how we win. And how are you going to win? You're going to win much like Baker Mayfield wins, with running the football, play action. D. Wood did it. We did the same thing to Mark Sanchez. We had red light, green light. You can't be aggressive in this play call. You can be aggressive at this time. You run the football and you lean to the strength of your team, which is that defense. It should open up the running game. You look at last week, David Montgomery, 100 yards, Damon Williams, 55 yards. That is the recipe for success when you have a young quarterback, play action, taking shots, really limit his opportunities to ruin the game. But come on, man, the fact that Matt Nagy had an epiphany all by himself, come on, man, you're killing me, Petey. It reminds me like Menace to Society. So you bought the beer at 11 o'clock. Yeah, right. No, you bought the beer at 12 o'clock. You know you're messed up right now. We got you on film, man.
Lewis, jump in. What do you think?
Yeah, Bart sometimes is hard to follow, bro. But, I'll just say it this way. Yeah, he's right. I mean, he's kind of right. I mean, of course, there are people in the organization. This is a big decision. This isn't just Matt's decision. When you move up to draft a quarterback like this and you understand just how much he is the future, how talented he is, how the stadium responded. You hear that stadium in the beginning of the game? I mean, the place was going nuts. It was going nuts. And as soon as he hits Darnell Mooney on the deep ball, they're going, that's what we're looking for. That's what we expect out of our franchise quarterback. And it just so happens that they run the ball much better. Justin gets a little bit more comfortable. They're not facing the same kind of pass rush they were facing a week ago. Justin gets a little bit more comfortable. And the defense starts feeding off of that. Justin gets a little bit more comfortable. When you go back and you review that kind of thing, it's probably best to go ahead and continue to develop this out. It's not going to be a straight rocket ride straight up, because I'll tell you this, he's going to play some much better defenses than Detroit. Much, much better. So they have to prepare themselves for the inevitable peaks and valleys. But yeah, I think this was a total organizational decision where it's just like, look, there's no sense in going back to Andy. Let's just ride this out with him, build it out around him, and let's just make sure we're doing things game plan wise to protect him each week.
You make a great point, and I like that you bring up the fact that he's going to play some much better defenses than Detroit. Because look at this, Damian. They've got the Raiders this weekend. They've got the Packers coming up. They've got the Bucs in Tampa. They've got 49ers. We've talked about this before on the show, and I've said, do you want to put Justin Fields in at a time where he faces the meat of the schedule? So what do you make of this move now, and how it might impact Justin Fields and his development?
He's going to have to play good players at some point. I mean, you can't play the JV team every week. At some point, you're going to be playing good teams. But listen, I totally agree with Bart. This is a situation, everybody was saying, Justin Fields needs to start from week one. Only way you get better as a player is by what? Playing, okay? I understand Patrick Mahomes, sat for a year, Aaron Rodgers, but the vast majority of these guys get better by going out there and playing ball. And Matt Nagy came out there, right before week one, and Andy Dalton, QB1. Andy Dalton gets hurt. He's QB1. Justin Fields plays well, comes back. Andy Dalton, QB1. Then all of a sudden, you just do a complete 180. Well, I looked at the film and, Justin Fields. No, what happened was them discussions upstairs was like, from, upper management, people were like, wait a minute, man.
Come on, to the principal's office. Let me holler at you.
We went with this narrative for too long, okay? It's time to put the kid in and let's ride with it.
Adam, I'll give you the last word on this.
Listen, they got a lot riding on Justin Fields. Again, I think this is where they were going to go all along. It just happened to fall this week in week 5. Don't have an issue with it.
All right. I mean, hey, like you say, he's got to play. We got to see what he's got. And you know what? What's going to be really interesting is how they game plan with Justin Fields. Unlike that first time he came in where it just seemed like the game didn't suit him. Now it's going to be different, maybe, or we'll see. Well, coming up, the Browns. They've been thinking Super Bowl. So we're going to tell you for Greeny. We got our fellas here, Damian Woody, Bart Scott. Over in TV land, we got our men, Adam Schefter, Louis Riddick, Jessica Mendoza, also here to talk baseball. And let's get right to that, because that was where the game of the night was.